the bell. Bloomberg's comprehensive cross-platform coverage of the U.S. market close starts right now.
And right now, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick alongside Katie Greifeld. We're counting you down to the closing bell, here to help take us beyond the bell. It's our global simulcast. We're joined right now by the Queen, Carol Massar, Jess Menton filling in today for Tim Senovic. Welcome to our audiences across Bloomberg Television, Bloomberg Radio, Bloomberg Originals, and those folks streaming on YouTube. Wrapping up the week here, Carol, and really setting up for probably what's going to be even a more important week next.
Yeah, no doubt about it, right, with that Fed meeting. And it's funny, I was looking at the VIX because I was just trying to get a feel as we head into the weekend, how that was playing out. We're right now at just below 26. At our highs this week, we were up almost at 31. We're up just about a point today, and pretty much where we started the week, just a little bit higher. And I find that there is still, I think, a fair amount of complacency in this market, despite the week that was.
And I have to point out what's happening with the New York FANG index, so the NYSE FANG index, rather, it's up more than 9% this week. So that would be its best gain since November 2022. So you are still seeing investors, especially even though it was down a bit today, still investors more overall this week, Romaine, going into those more risky corners of the market like technology and growth.
I forgot all about the NY FANG index, Katie Greifeld. I mean, at some point it was deemed irrelevant, if not dead, but I guess it's back.
Is that still the acronym FANG? Have we moved on from that yet?
No, apparently everything old is new again here.
Be Mang?
I don't know.
It should be Mang.
Mang. All right, somebody get Ben Bernanke on the phone and see what he has to say here. We are waiting to hear from Jay Powell next week. Of course, the two-day Fed meeting starting on Tuesday, the big announcement and press conference on Wednesday. We could hear from regulators even before we get to that day. All right, folks, it's been a wild week here, and now the week coming to an end. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lower on the day by almost 400 points, or about 1% here, erasing all of the gains for the week. It looks like it's going to finish on a weekly basis in the red by only about a tenth of a percent. The S&P and the NASDAQ are lower on the day, but we should point out higher on the week here. You hear the clapping and cheering, the folks over there at Jameson, very fitting here on St. Patrick's Day, and then over at the NYSE. You got the folks at Guinness here on St. Patrick's Day. Two interesting selections here for this particular March 17th. Anyway, the S&P 500 down 1% on the day, the NASDAQ down 0.7%. And of course, we know the Russell 2000 never really got any traction all week long, down 2.5% here on the day, down even more than that on the week. And of course, all of the banking index really taking it on the chin.
All right, time for the Bloomberg quiz. No, not exactly the quiz, but best name in the S&P 500 this week, guys?
It's got to be either NVIDIA or AMD. How about that?
You're so smart. Advanced Micro, it looks like. Up 18%. Worst performer?
Worst performer, it's got to be a bank stock, I assume.
Yeah.
First Republic?
First Republic,
Okay,
down almost 72%. All right,
I got it first.
The week that was.
It's not a jinx, is it?
Jinx.
I don't know. Well, somebody buy me
together.
a Coke, so we can just move.
Katie, help us.
Right.
Okay, let's look at the industry groups here, because I do have a little piece of good news. We do have one industry group that managed to fight its way into the green.
How about that?
Software and software services. Isn't that great? 0.2% higher. Food and
I feel like there should just be like stars drawn around that or something. We need something special.
I'll work on that. I forgot my marker. But in any case, food and staples
It's an erasable
almost
board.
got there. Not quite. Telecom too. Then you look down the list. There is a lot of red. Right there at the bottom, it's the banks. Probably not surprising given the week that we had and given the price action that we saw today, Carol.
All right, so let's get to some of the individual gainers. FedEx, you know the story. We broke their earnings after the closing bell yesterday. FedEx off its highs at the close here, but still with a gain of about 8%. Number one gainer in the S&P 500 today. We know the company coming out and better than expected report. This resulted in a bunch of upgrades to stock price targets, including analysts over at TD Cowen, Citi, and Susquehanna. Remember, Stifel, yesterday, before the earnings, they did an upgrade. So talk about a good call, because the stock is up now, rallying 2 days in a row. All right, let's get to Google. This was popping up among the top in the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100 today. Yeah. Feels like AI is back being talked about on Wall Street, because UBS came out, affirmed its buy rating on the stock. They noted Alphabet's investments into integrating generative AI into its Google search results don't pose a significant risk to margins. So they had some other upbeat comments when it comes to AI specifically. And then NVIDIA, also top among the S&P 500 and NASDAQ 100, upgraded overweight from equal weight at Morgan Stanley. They write, the development of generational AI is too much of a mega trend to get distracted by tactical concerns. Yeah. Price target up to 304, stock closed at 257 and change. This stock is up, 75% so far this year.
And I just want to add a couple too. You pointed this out the last simulcast here with the Bitcoin, the crypto stocks.
Yes.
Coinbase up 40% on the week. Marathon Digital up 53% on the week.
I don't know. What do you make of that?
I don't know.
Fundamentals.
What do you make of a NASDAQ 100? I mean, just to get to the superlatives here.
Yeah.
Up almost 6% on a weekly basis. Actually, the best week of the year
I don't
for the
get
NASDAQ 100, despite 3 bank failures and maybe another one coming down the pipe.
I don't
Jess,
know.
what do you got? Did anything fall today?
Well, I'll go with the decliners. And so
Yeah.
not surprisingly, we're going to talk about banks. So I'm going to start off with First Republic. So you look at that down about 7%. If you look at, though, for the week, it lost a little over 70%, so that would have been its worst weekly loss on record, even as it came when you saw these large lenders yesterday try to come to the aid of this bank, still very pressured. And then I have to go next. If you're looking at the ADR for Credit Suisse, so those U.S. listed shares, they fell again. If you're looking at that, and it's down about 7%. Sorry, earlier I meant to say First Republic down around 33%, but still, the Swiss bank, I mean, that has a key meeting when you're looking at, say, Credit Suisse as far as what's going to happen this week with that bank. So that's going to be really in focus. And then lastly, I have to also mention what's happening with the bigger banks. So especially when it comes to Bank of America, we are seeing that more broadly, that stock also falling. But also when it comes to a key thing that happened just recently in the last hour, Bill Ackman actually said on Twitter that potentially, when you're looking at Signature Bank, there could be a situation there, but still it hasn't been confirmed by Bloomberg News. So that's something else that's been happening as far as whether or not Bank of America could buy that. But again, not confirmed by Bloomberg News, but it is something that we obviously are watching very closely.
And a couple to that, keep an eye on the travel stocks. Most of the airlines, cruise lines, all down 10, 20% here on a weekly basis. But of course, we go into the yield space, and it was wild. I don't know what to make of this. Down 31 basis points here on the day. The entire curve right now back below 4% here, but the swings that we saw on a week-to-week basis, remember earlier in the week we actually saw the MOVE index actually hit its highest level since the financial crisis here. We haven't gotten the data for today, but that volatility was a big part of the story. And guys, it's a big part of the reason why you see so many people moving to the sidelines. It's not really just about the price action in and of itself, but it's about, well, if you can't actually put a price on anything, then, well, you just sit out the market.
Yeah, it's one of those, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out. I'm going to wait and see how this settles. And we'll see if we get some settlement, if you will, in that Fed meeting next week. We also have the Bank of England. We've got some earnings, too. But it's all about Jay Powell and company. And I do wonder, I love this idea. What was it? The hawkish pivot?
Oh, gosh. Here we go.
All right.
I'm going to check out for the next 2 minutes.
No, you're
Go
not.
ahead.
But what does the Fed do, right? How does it make sure it doesn't create more nervousness within the market environment, but to say, hey, guys, I got it. I know inflation's still a problem.
You know, I was thinking about this last night as the Northwestern Wildcats were beating up on Boise State.
You really?
And, yeah, and of course they got a big game coming up tomorrow against UCLA here. So yeah, it's something I'll chew on here as I'm watching my Wildcats advance in the NCAA.
You're going to be
tournament.
like, can we get another beer? But
Kate
a hawkish
Greifeld.
pivot. Oh wait, what's going on with the game?
Should I do a hard pivot here back to the Fed?
Please.
I don't know. I do think it's really an interesting discussion that we've been having, that for really market calm that they should hike here. But then we were talking with Jeff Sherman from Double Line to start off our program, and he made the case that they probably will to keep with that inflation fighting reputation, but they probably shouldn't. They probably should pause when it comes to next Wednesday.
And that's been the big debate when I've been speaking with portfolio managers as far as which type of Fed are you going to have when it comes to this meeting, whether it's the financial stability front and center, or if they're going to be still on the inflation fighting side on when it comes to that dual mandate. So that's going to be the big question going into next week.
I just want to also put a pin on this volatility that we saw this week. I was just looking at the final data for volume that we had this week, well above the averages. This was actually the most, the highest volume day that we had of the week here, with about 19 billion shares of swapping hands. But we were like at 14 billion yesterday and 16, 17 billion on Monday.
Microsoft up almost 13% this week.
That's like its best day in like
2005, did I see? Like that
That's
since
crazy. 2015.
Like how?
Yeah.
What is that about?
Yeah,
is that fundamentals or what?
Yes, actually yes, because we've had a couple people point this out here, that if you are looking to stay invested in the market, you're going to look for the companies with the cash flow, with the profitability, and as someone pointed out, with good management.
That's the thing. I mean, a Microsoft and Amazon and Alphabet, I mean, they are sort of fortresses here. They're probably going to make money in any environment, maybe not as much money as they were making, but money nonetheless. When you think about the cash flows, when you think about the balance sheets, it makes sense that that's your defensive play.
All right, so is it Jameson, Guinness, or just a good Cote-Rone tonight?
I'm going to stay out of that one.
Not for all
I don't want to get in
spirits.
trouble, but, happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. Stay safe, everybody. All right, that's a wrap for our cross-platform coverage. Radio, TV, Bloomberg Originals, and, of course, YouTube. We will see you again, same time, same place, on Monday.